What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. Tonight it is September 20th, 7 p.m. Central Time here. We're going to be going over the start-sit charts for week 3. I'm going to try and get to every game that I have here on the fantasyfellowship.com. There should be a link in the description if you guys want to check out the start-sit charts for yourself. But come on in. This is a live stream, so come on in and get your questions fired up in the chat room. If you guys do have start-sit questions, I will basically, I'm going to read through my start sit charts and we'll kind of rifle through the questions as we go along. But let's hop right into it, man. We're going to be here for a full hour tonight. Let's make sure we get to everything and everyone's question that we need. And Chase, it's going fantastic, man. Thank you for asking. We're looking excited, man. A lot of movement going on here. We got some waiver wire runs that we all got this morning, and Cam Akers is now a Minnesota Viking. So we got some interesting things happening here. But let's hop into the Thursday night football game. Tomorrow night, we have the Giants at the 49ers. 49ers picked to win by 10.5, over under about 45 in this one. They've already ruled out Saquon Barkley, so it's coming up pretty big for the 49ers here. I think on the Giants side, yeah, you're probably starting Daniel Jones in Superflex leagues, but that's probably about it. I don't know if I want to dabble with him in one QB leagues. I do think Darren Waller is probably the only other guy that I'm willing to start. Otherwise, if I have to play Matt Breida in a desperation mode, I get it. But Eric Gray, Slayton, Hodgins, Campbell, Hyatt, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable playing any of these guys in my lineup outside of Darren Waller. On the 49ers side, I do think Brock Purdy is a must play in Superflex leagues. He's kind of a fringe QB1 in your one QB league. So if you guys do have questions there, let me know. Yeah, you're starting Christian McCaffrey. You're starting Debo. Brandon Ayuk's an interesting one. I'm not quite sure what to tell you guys about Ayuk. He was limited on Tuesday and Wednesday, so it looks like he's on track to play. So if he plays, I'm probably going to play him. That's just how it's going to go. And then George Kittle, I think George Kittle might have a nice game against the Giants here. And then, yeah, start the 49ers D if you got it. Now, this is a squeaky wheel situation where Elijah Mitchell might get a little bit more work in this one than he's gotten in the first 2 games here. It's a short week. Typically, you see some of the backups play a little bit more, and Elijah Mitchell is going to be a guy that I think will end up on some of my DFS lineups tomorrow night. But that's pretty much it. Not going to be the most exciting Thursday night football game. Good evening to Daniel. Hope you're doing well, dude. Fire up your question whenever you need to. Chase says, start one for my RB2 full PPR. Gibson, McKinnon, Spears, or Justice Hill have a waiver to drop Hill for Hunt. I can't get Hunt. I have waiver for Chuba. So, Justice Hill's probably not playing this weekend. I saw he missed practice with a toe injury. So I think he's not playing. DNP with the toe. So that makes it a little bit more uncomfortable there. I think Gibson, McKinnon, and Spears, none of these guys are very fun RB2 plays here. Honestly, I'd rather play Chuba Hubbard over all of these guys. Chuba Hubbard has gone out and played pretty well. He's gotten 8.9 and I think 10 points in the last 2 games. I'd rather have Chuba Hubbard over Kareem Hunt. I personally, I'm not really buying into the Browns backfield. I personally would rather play Chuba Hubbard at RB2 over all these guys. Daniel says, start 2, bench 3, drop the others. Interesting. Zay, I don't know if that's Flowers or Jones, but Zay, Dell, Reed, Hunt, Breida, Clyde, or McKinnon if Pacheco out. Woods, Robinson, Osborne, Laporta, and Schultz. Okay. Start 2, bench 3, drop the others. Start 2, I'm starting Tank Dell. And then I'm going to start. So it is Zay Jones. Okay. If I'm starting 2, I will start Tank Dell for sure. He's the one I feel great about. I'm not sure what's going on with Pacheco. I think he's got a bruise right now, which overall I'm not too worried about him. I do like Pacheco quite a bit. So I think he's going to end up playing. Honestly, I don't know if I trust. We got to. Zay Jones is hard to trust. I like Jaden Reed. That's about it. I like Laporta, Allen Robinson, Osborne. This is a tough question, Daniel. I'm starting Tank Dell for sure. Otherwise, Laporta sticks out. And then I do think Reed sticks out as well. So those are the only 3 guys that I'm really contemplating on playing this weekend. So Dell, Reed, and Laporta are the top 3 guys. So you'll bench one of them. And then the other bench players you're going to bench is Zay Jones. and then you'll probably end up benching Robert Woods, and then I'm going to drop the others. I hope that helps. Good evening to Christian. 12-man league, is Daniel Jones worth a start, or do I scramble and try to trade for a QB on someone's bench this week? I'd be curious to see who else is available on your waiver wire. I mean, if Brock Purdy's playing, I'd rather play Brock Purdy over Daniel Jones. I am ranking Daniel Jones as a QB2, so I don't think he's a must start in QB1 leagues this week. So if you have to play Daniel Jones and there's nobody else on the waiver wire, I think I'm fine with it, but I don't know if I'm going to have to make a trade. Pick 2 wide receivers, full PPR, JSN, Dotson, Reed, or Burks. Pick 2 receivers, full PPR. I like JSN the least just because Lockett and Metcalf are still doing their thing. Dotson's got a tough matchup against Buffalo, so it might be Jaden Reed and Treylon Burks here. I need to trade for RB2 in that league. My RB2 is so rough. I started Josh Reynolds last week over some notable receivers. Turned out great. Do you think I should start him again over Lockett, McLaurin, Najigba, Christian Kirk? That's tough because I like Tyler Lockett. I think the Seahawks have a decent matchup this weekend, but so does Josh Reynolds. But I'm probably playing Lockett over Josh Reynolds. But hey, let me get over to some of these start-sit chart guys. Let's cover over the Titans and the Browns real quick. On the Titans side, real quick, Ryan Tannehill is a QB2 for Superflex. You're starting Derrick Henry. I think DeAndre Hopkins is still a wide receiver 3. I like that he was able to come through and not re-injure himself. He was a full participant in practice today, so he is looking like he's fully healthy. And then I do think Treylon Burks is a wide receiver 3 flex. Maybe the Titans defense. They've had 7 sacks through 2 games, so it's a good running defense. They kind of do allow people to pass on them though. And then Spears, Westbrook, Chris Moore will leave these guys on the bench. Browns, who are favored to win by 39.5 total. I have Deshaun Watson ranked as a QB1 because the Titans do allow a lot of fantasy points to QB and the wide receiver. So he's probably a good play here. I think it's a bad start for Jerome Ford, man. Like, the Titans are the best defense against the running back here, so it's honestly not a good spot for Jerome Ford or any of the other running backs here. I want to start Amari Cooper. I want to start maybe Elijah Moore, and then David Njoku, I think, has some opportunities at the tight end. You want to pass against these Titans defenders, so it's showing up that way for me. I'm fading forward. I'm playing the receivers here. Maybe start the Browns defense, but Hunt, we're not starting. DPJ, Tillman, Strong, we'll leave these guys on the bench here. We'll move on to the Falcons in a second here. So Christian says, how are you feeling about Javonte Williams? Overall, I'm okay with Javonte Williams. I think he did notch another 12 carries or something last week. I'm not sure what the line looks like for him this week. Going up against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins do allow a decent amount of fantasy points. Let's actually go look at that right now. Yeah, in terms of running back points, the Miami Dolphins are one of the worst teams allowing running back points. They rank 29th here. It's a good matchup. They allow 28.9 points per game to the running backs here. If Javonte gets half of that, that's 14 points. So I think Javante's in a good spot this week. You want to play him as your RB2. He's come through and he's been unscathed through 2 games here. I think this is setting up for Javonte Williams. Really nice second half of the season where he's going to be a fringe RB1, RB2 here. So I'm going to continue to be bullish on Javonte Williams. Hearing more good news that people expect Roschon to take over. Yep, it does sound like Roschon Johnson, man. If he's available in any of your leagues, go pick Roschon Johnson up, guys. Probably not. I mean, how old is Irv Smith? 25. You can maybe hold on to him. We need to see Joe Burrow look a little bit better. I mean, he's had 2 receptions for 10 yards and 3 for 17 through a few games here with Joe Burrow. So we could see some better days soon, but it doesn't look great for Irv Smith. Available QBs are pretty bad. Jones coming off a 30-point game. Hopefully he shows flashes of that again. Yeah, man, I think you can play Daniel Jones against the 49ers. There might be some garbage time opportunity. So I'm not overly terrified of the matchup. Charlene, Akers to the Vikings. And yeah, I'm super intrigued with that because Alexander Madison has not been playing well. I think a lot of people have been. If you drafted Alexander Madison, like you probably weren't starting him this week because he's been pretty bad. So all of a sudden, like Madison's days are numbered as the guy who's going to get all the snaps and all the touches there. I think Akers has a really good chance to take over this backfield. We just need to see it. We're not starting Akers until we see it. So we'll definitely be interested in watching it. I still think the Vikings offense runs through the passing game. So we'll see. But I do think Akers, if he's available in your league, you guys should go pick him up and see what happens. Maybe a new change of scenery could be good for Cam. But anyways, the Falcons, 2-0 Falcons at the Detroit Lions. Lions picked to win by 3.5, 46.5 implied here. You have Desmond Ridder as a QB2 in Superflex leagues. He looked okay last week against Green Bay. On the road in Detroit, like that's going to be a high-scoring game, so they might have to get out of their comfort zone a little bit and throw the ball. So I don't mind Ridder in Superflex leagues. Yeah, you're starting Bijan Robinson. I think Drake London, man, because of this Lions secondary and because it's in Detroit, I'm open to this game being a little bit faster paced. I'm open to Drake London as my wide receiver 3. Tyler Algier can be your low-end RB2 flex. Not super exciting after last weekend's line, but the Lions defense not as good as the Packers. Slightly okay, but we're not playing the Falcons D. Mac Hollins. I think Kyle Pitts is on the bench until we see something. Jonnu Smith, Cordell Patterson. I'll leave all these guys on the bench here. Chase says, in my SF Dynasty League, do I continue to roll with Pitts at tight end or go with Schultz or Irv Smith? Yeah, that's a tough one. Let's see. Dalton Schultz gets the Jags. The Jags have been allowing some tight end points here, so it's not a bad spot for Dalton Schultz. The Bengals, on the other hand here, they have a tough matchup against the Rams. So if I'm going to do anything, it's probably Dalton Schultz. And I've liked how CJ Stroud's been playing, so it's not a terrible spot for Dalton Schultz. I think I'm okay with it. If you want to go with Schultz over Pitts, I am okay with it. It's a good matchup, though. The Lions, have allowed 18 receptions, 175 yards, and a touchdown through, 2 games, so it's not terrible. I would go Schultz or Pitts, basically toss a coin, see what happens. So in a dynasty league, I actually just traded away Kyle Pitts last night for a first-round pick, a future first-round pick. And I'm going after Cade Otton and Kylen Granson. Those two guys are going to be my dynasty backup tight end. So I like Granson. He's looked good. And Cade Otton's another name if you guys need another name in dynasty formats. But let's go ahead and get through this Falcons game here. On the Lions side, we're waiting the health of David Montgomery. He did not practice today. Let me just double check this for you. Either did Amon-Ra St. Brown. So he's got a toe injury, they're labeling it as. David Montgomery's got a bruised thigh. So we got to keep an eye on the Lions guys here. Now, I do think if Montgomery plays, you're playing him. If Amon-Ra St. Brown plays, you're playing him. You're playing Jahmyr Gibbs no matter what. And honestly, guys, I think Sam Laporta is a must-start. Tight end 1 the rest of the way. If you have Dalton Schultz or Sam Laporta, I'm going Sam Laporta. If you have Kyle Pitts or Sam Laporta, I'm going Sam Laporta. So he's, to me, entering the safe zone as a top 12 tight end. I think Jared Goff's a nice quarterback 2 for Superflex leagues. I don't know if I'm quite there with him as a QB1 in regular QB leagues. And then, we had a question about Josh Reynolds earlier. I do think Reynolds is a wide receiver 3 flex. It still feels a little weird starting and trusting Josh Reynolds, but so far through 2 games, it looks really good for Jay Reynolds. Say no to the Lions defense. And then if you're in emergency and Chase with this question, if David Montgomery's out, like Craig Reynolds might not be a terrible plug and play as a running back too. I think he could actually pay off and be a startable running back while David Montgomery is out. Just noticed I got out fobbed for Josh Reynolds. 1 place, 10 down, 13 won the bid. That's a bummer. I need to bench 1. Amari Cooper, George Pickens, Garrett Wilson, and Rachaad White. Well, I think we're starting Amari Cooper for sure. Amari Cooper's got, on paper, one of the best matchups going up against the Titans secondary. You have George Pickens with a decent matchup against the Raiders on Sunday Night Football and no Deontay Johnson. I think you want to take care of that. The Jets, on the other hand, they have a tough matchup against the New England Patriots. And I love Garrett Wilson. He makes a lot of plays, but I think to me that's between Garrett Wilson and Rachaad White. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they play the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles defense here has been they rank 10th against the running back. They haven't allowed a touchdown here. They've allowed a lot of receptions, not a lot of yards. I think I'm sitting Rachaad White here. I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson, Pickens, and Amari Cooper. Start 2, Javonte, Lockett, Reynolds, McLaurin, Tank Dell, Roschon, Kirk. Yeah, I think you got to go with Lockett. We're going to wait on Roschon still. I like Terry McLaurin, but man, he's got a tough matchup against the Buffalo Bills. They rank 4th against the wide receivers here. Seattle does have a tough matchup against the Carolina Panthers, but I think Lockett's proven that he can hold it down. Tank Dell, not a bad matchup for Tank Dell either. This is a really tough one, Christian. I think I'm going to default to Tyler Lockett and Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, we like his matchup against the Dolphins. I'm going to say Lockett and Javonte Williams, but honestly, there's a lot of combinations here that I like. If you have a gut feeling on one of these guys, I think you should trust it. Would you drop Rondale Moore for Granson in a dynasty league and you need a tight end too? Sure. Where would you priority be for waivers dropping Justice Hill, Hunt, Hubbard, and Reynolds? It's going to be, if you need a running back, and it sounds like you do, it goes Hubbard, Reynolds, Hunt. I do like Josh Reynolds quite a bit. I think he could be a wide receiver 3 flex the rest of the season. But if you need a running back this much, Chuba Hubbard's he's come out and gotten like 9 and 10 points in back-to-back games here. He's the 3rd down back for Bryce Young. And I think Miles Sanders missed practice today. Yeah, Miles Sanders limited with a pec. So that's probably my pecking order right there. Drew, what it do? As a Monty owner, would you try to package some receiver depth into a RB 2 or 3 or just ride it out with Craig Reynolds? If you can go get Chuba Hubbard, I think he's a really good replacement right now. Otherwise, I'm totally fine with pulling out Craig Reynolds because when Montgomery went down, Jahmyr Gibbs, his role didn't expand. Craig Reynolds came in and played pretty well here, and I would bet that Craig Reynolds gets a decent workload if Montgomery is out. So I'm not going to panic with David Montgomery's injury. It's a thigh bruise. If Montgomery's out, I think we can play Craig Reynolds. And I've seen Craig Reynolds, ranked as a, kind of around RB 24 to RB 27, so it's not a bad spot for Craig Reynolds. Would you consider Zach Ertz a weekly starter over Kyle Pitts? Pitts is so, yes. It feels gross, but I think Zach Ertz is a safe, steady security blanket for Dobbs, so he's not a bad play at all. Let's get to the Saints and the Packers real quick. Packers picked to win by 2, 42 points total projected in this game. Aaron Jones did not practice today. Christian Watson did practice today. So with that being said, Jordan Love's more of a super flex QB2. It's a tough matchup, but it is at home. Aaron Jones, if he plays, you're going to play him, but I'm going to dock him down to RB2. With Christian Watson likely back this weekend, I think all 3 Packers receivers are kind of what the heck flexes. Jaden Reed, Dobbs, and Christian Watson. If you have Watson, you want to get him in, I get it. But I'm kind of going to advise caution. It's a good Saints secondary here. So Reed, Dobbs, and Watson are all kind of fringe flexes for me. I'm open to starting the Packers defense. Luke Musgrave, A.J. Dillon will leave these guys on the bench here. I believe the Saints are one of the best teams against tight end over the last few seasons. Let me see if I can find it real quick. The Saints are the 6th best team against tight end so far. They've allowed 3 catches for 20 yards. I actually have to update that. My bad. But anyways, here, let's take a look at the Saints real quick. You have Derek Carr as QB2. You're starting Chris Olave. And then after that, I think Juwan Johnson's okay as a tight end 1. I think Michael Thomas is okay as a wide receiver 3 flex in full PPR. Rashid Shaheed and Kendre Miller are the real questions. It sounds like Kendre Miller's playing in this game here. So don't go out and add Tony Jones Jr. He's not going to do anything. I think Kendre Miller might be the starting running back this weekend. So I actually, in this question that we had earlier from Chase, I actually like Kendre Miller over all of these running backs against the Packers. So if Kendre's available, go grab him. Saints defense is startable. Sounds like Jamal Williams is out. I'm not messing with Tony Jones. And then if you're in desperation mode at tight end, Taysom Hill maybe could be of use to you. Who would you drop on this 10-team bench? White, Connor, London, Monty, Kirk, AR, Nico, or Ford? 10-team questions are tough, man, because 10 teams are 10. Like, I prefer 12-team leagues. 10 teams are just a little bit too stacked. Honestly, I don't think you can cut anybody here, Chase. You need to drop one for a defense. You're probably stuck dropping Christian Kirk or something like that. Honestly, it's tough, man. Your team's too good. You either need to trade two of those guys for one player, or you're gonna have to end up dropping Christian Kirk. Good evening to Ryan, Pittman, Mike Will, Watson, or Javonte full PPR. It's Mike Williams. Mike Williams in a full PPR league. This Vikings Chargers game is projected to have the most points in it. There's 54.5 total points in this game. That's a clear touchdown ahead of the next best game here. So I'm trying to get all other players. I'm leaning into Addison. I'm leaning into Mike Williams. I want to get Chargers and Vikings in my lineup. My other QB is Tua in that league. I mean, it's tough in a 10-man league. Rostering two QBs is kind of overkill. If you want to just pick one. But Anthony Richardson and Tua are both top 10 QBs right now. So I think I prefer dumping one of the other players if you can. That would work. Charlene says, I have JJ, Addison, and now Akers. I guess I need to say go Vikings go. It's not a bad thing to be. We're going to have to babysit Akers. Like, I don't know if he's going to be, active this weekend, and maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't play. I think week 4 we'll get a good chance to look at Cam Akers and see what he can do in this backfield. But hey, the Vikings passing offense with JJ and Addison, that's kind of where you want to be. And I do like that Akers has familiarity with the Kevin O'Connell offense from LA. So it might not be all that bad to be heavily invested into the Minnesota Vikings. Let's go over the Broncos at the Dolphins. Dolphins at home here, picked to win by 6. 48 implied in this one. You're starting Tua, you're starting Raheem, you're starting Tyreek Hill. We're watching the health of Jalen Waddle, who missed today with a concussion. I'm pretty concerned about Jalen Waddle missing this game here. We'll know more tomorrow and Friday, but if you do have Jalen Waddle, I think you need to be prepared to not have him. If you want to snag a wide receiver to babysit for the weekend, it's probably Braxton Berrios stepping up as the number 2 receiver in this offense. I think the Dolphins defense is startable, not in love with it, and then we'll leave these guys here on the bench. I do think Salvon Ahmed, if he's able to play, I like Ahmed as a number 2 running back. He didn't practice today, but he has looked good as the RB2 here. On the Broncos side, Russell Wilson, more of a QB2 for Superflex leagues. I don't know if I quite trust him yet in 1 QB leagues. You got to start Javonte Williams. It's a really good matchup against this Dolphins defense. And then Judy and Sutton, these guys are kind of coin flip wide receiver 3s. Probably not the Broncos defense. Leave Marvin Mims on the bench. So I think you got to leave Samaje on the bench, McLaughlin, and Adam Troutman. Let me see what else we got here. So out of those 4 RBs we mentioned, the pickup on my waivers, my first priority is Hubbard, then Kendre Miller, Reynolds, and Hunt. I would do this. Hubbard's got a really nice matchup this weekend, Chase. Hubbard going up against the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks have allowed 4 rushing touchdowns this year. It's a really good spot. Carolina at home. You have Miles Sanders, limited with a groin injury today. So I would rank these as Hubbard, Reynolds, Kendre Miller, Hayden Hurst. I really like Kendre Miller rest of the season, but we do have Alvin Kamara coming back next week. So, but yeah, I think along those lines, you're looking at something that seems to be in decent order there. Should I drop Bigsby for Roschon or Kendre Miller, or is he a good handcuff to have? I'm doing it. Yeah, if you can get Roschon. So Roschon's the guy. Roschon, they made Deonta Foreman inactive last weekend, so to me, that's like they really like Roschon. They want to get him opportunities. I know the Bears are pretty dysfunctional right now, but Roschon, man, he almost split 50-50 last weekend with Khalil Herbert. I think it's a matter of time before it flips heavily to the rookie's favor, and Khalil Herbert's more of just like a secondary handcuff kind of back. So I think Roschon excites me the most. If you can't get Roschon, I think Kendre's a really good handcuff to hold on to here. But Tank Bigsby, only going to have value if ETN gets down. I think Roschon and Kendre Miller do have weekly value already. In between Reed and Laporta, 0.5 PPR. If Watson plays, I'm leaning Laporta. Otherwise, going with Reed. What do you think? I do think Christian Watson's going to play this weekend, but he's probably going to be a little bit on a snap count. It's a decent matchup, I believe, here for Laporta. They play the Falcons. The Falcons have allowed 13 for 73 and a touchdown, averaging 13.15 fantasy points per game here. So it's a really good matchup here. And I just want to note, like, Green Bay Packers have a tough matchup going up against the New Orleans Saints this weekend. Let's see, New Orleans ranks 9th here. I don't know. I might prefer Sam Laporta, man. Even if Watson doesn't play, I'll go Reed. But it is a tougher matchup for Packers receivers. Chargers at the Vikings. Vikings picked to win by 1, 54.5 implied in this one. On the Vikings side, you're starting Kirk Cousins as a top 10, top 12 QB. Man, Alexander Mattison, I don't know if we need to start him this week. Honestly, I'm nervous. I could see him continue to get the volume one more time in this game here. So if you have questions on Mattison, let me know. He's a low-end RB2 flex play at best. Otherwise, yeah, you're starting JJ, you're starting Hawkinson, and then Jordan Addison probably belongs as a wide receiver 3 flex in your lineups this weekend. Say no to the Vikings defense. Ty Chandler will pour one out. KJ Osborne maybe as a flex play. For the Chargers side, you're starting Herbert, you're starting Keenan Allen, you're starting Mike Williams. Obviously, we need to watch the running backs here. Austin Eckler did not practice today. Let me double check this for you. Yeah, Austin Eckler is still not practicing today. We'll see about tomorrow and Friday. So hold on to your Josh Kelly. If Eckler's out, like, we're playing Josh Kelly against the Vikings defense. And even if Eckler plays, Josh Kelly does have low-end RB2 flex value. Say no to the Chargers defense. We're going to leave everybody else here on the bench that I have. Really fun game. This is the highest point total, of the weekend here by a full touchdown. And both teams are 0-2. That's a lot of desperation in this game coming up. Drop Rondale Moore for Michael Wilson in Dynasty. Sure, Nick Westbrook is not good. Like, he caught a touchdown last weekend, but he's not anything special. I'd rather carry Michael Wilson here. Much better potential ceiling there from Michael Wilson. Moving on to the Patriots and the Jets. This game's going to be pretty ugly. I think the only must start in this game on the Patriots side is Ramondre Stevenson. Then I think Hunter Henry has proven to be a top 5, top 10 tight end option for you. Mac Jones only in super flex. Devontae Parker's a deep wide receiver 3 flex play. I do want to start the Patriots defense, though. I think that's a solid spot. And then Zeke, Bourne, Gesicki, Juju will leave these guys on the bench or waivers. On the Jet side, it's like, honestly, you don't have to start a Jet if you don't want to. I do think Garrett Wilson's going to get the benefit of the doubt as a wide receiver 3 flex in your lineup. I think Tyler Conklin could continue to benefit from Zach Wilson's dink and dunk nature. And then Breece Hall, man, maybe it's a squeaky wheel gets the grease situation. Maybe he just comes out and gets 12 to 15 carries. Dalvin Cook is not good. Like, honestly, I think Dalvin Cook is cuttable in a 10 or 12-man league. Start the Jets defense still. I'm fine with that. But Wilson, Lazard, Dalvin Cook, will say no to that. Moving on to the Bills and the Commanders. Bills picked to win by 6.5, 44.5 implied on the road here. Josh Allen, yeah, he's in your lineup. James Cook, man, he's looking really fun. Stephon Diggs, yes. I think Kincaid's probably a top 10, top 12 tight end the rest of the way. And I did see Dawson Knox did not practice today with a back designation tag here. So Kincaid must start if Knox is out. Gabe Davis can be a wide receiver 3 flex for you. Start that Bills defense, and then we're going to leave all these other guys here on the bench. I think Damian Harris is droppable. I think Latavius Murray is the RB2 in Buffalo. On the Commander side, I don't mind Sam Howell as a fringe QB2. You're starting Brian Robinson. You're starting Terry McLaurin. And then Jahan Dotson right now is a wide receiver 3 flex. Say no to the Commanders defense in this one, and then continue to watch Antonio Gibson. We'll see about Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas I'm pretty sure he missed practice today. Yeah, I did not practice with that concussion today. And then Curtis Samuel, will just leave him off the bench here. But Bills, heavy favorites on the road here. The Texans at the Jags. Jags picked to win by 9.5, 43.5 here at home. You're starting Trevor Lawrence, you're starting ETN, you're starting Calvin Ridley. I do think Christian Kirk's more of a wide receiver 3 flex. Zay Jones, we have to see if he's going to play in this one. He did get banged up last week. He did not practice today with a knee injury. So Christian Kirk might be a wide receiver 3 for us this weekend. And then honestly, Evan Ingram's looked pretty good through 2 games. He can be a top 5 tight end option for you. That Jags defense has been a popular waiver wire defense, so they're startable. And then Tank Bigsby will leave him on the bench. Moving over to the Texans, I think they're getting healthier. Where is he? Laramie Tunsil, their starting left tackle, limited at practice today. George Fant, their other offensive tackle, limited at practice today. So maybe we're getting healthier here on the offensive line, which would be huge. Honestly, I think Nico Collins is a nice wide receiver 3. Otherwise here, I don't know if we need to start anybody in this game. I'm going to continue starting Dameon Pierce as an RB2 in leagues where I need him to be that. Otherwise, CJ Stroud, Superflex League, sure. Dalton Schultz can be a fringe tight end 1. Tank Dell is my favorite wide receiver, I think, on the waiver wire this weekend. I actually think Tank Dell might lead this team in targets by the end of the year. Can be a wide receiver 3 flex. Robert Woods has been playing well too. Say no to the Texans defense and Devin Singletary. So slight optimism for me on the Texans because, man, if they get their 2 starting tackles back this week, they're going to start to look a little bit better running the football. So keep an eye on those guys. If Waddle misses, would you start Hall, Warren, Zay Jones, or Dobbs? I'm starting Jaylen Warren, guys. Honestly, if you watched the Monday Night Football game, Jaylen Warren looked like the better back. Najee Harris had 2 really nice plays, but other than that, he looked really bad. I'm starting Jaylen Warren against the Raiders over Hall, Zay Jones, and Dobbs. Hopes on Akers. It's tough, man. It's hoping a flower blooms in the dark at this point in the back of the closet. So I do like the potential for him in Minnesota. He still has to beat out Alexander Madison. He still has to get all the touches. So we'll see if he can impress with his new team. He's still worth holding on to, but it's going to require patience. I'm starting Pats D. Love the Pats D this weekend. I think they're a top 5, top 10 play. Would you prefer trading for Aaron Jones or Swift? Full PPR. Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is such a he's just it's not even close. I do like DeAndre Swift in that offense, but I think Aaron Jones is a much higher ceiling player. Let's look at the Colts at the Ravens real quick. Ravens picked to win by 7, 44 implied in this one. We're awaiting the health of Anthony Richardson. He did not practice today as he's waiting to make it through the concussion protocols. So if he plays, I'm playing him. Just know there's risk of him potentially getting re-injured. Zach Moss, guys, he was the only running back to get a snap last week and the only running back to touch the ball. So I think he's a low-end RB2. Go ahead and start Michael Pittman Jr. And then we've talked about Kylen Granson a little bit in this podcast. I think he's a nice dynasty stash if you have super deep dynasty benches. And who knows, maybe he's worth a tight end start this week. Probably not, though. Say no to the Colts defense, Pierce and Downs. Keep monitoring Josh Downs. I think he's a guy that should get better as the season goes on. On the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers. And then with this news to Justice Hill, I think Gus Edwards, man, is shaping up to be the guy you want as your running back 2 here. So I do like Gus quite a bit. You can start the Ravens defense. I think that feels okay, especially if Anthony Richardson's not in there. And then we're going to leave Bateman, Beckham, Aguilar, Hill, Gordon, all those guys we'll leave on the bench. I just want to point out my insane rookie draft picks without having a first rounder. 2.2, choose A-Chain, choose Roshan Nakua. Give me hope if I trade my first since I'm contending. I am confused here, Chase. Let me read this again. I just want to point out my insane rookie draft picks without having a first rounder. 2.2, choose A-Chain. 2.1, choose Roshan. 4.1 Nakua. Give me hope if I trade my first, I'm contending. Honestly, man, you hit the I didn't like A-Chain coming out, so that's the one that I'm not really sold on, but I love Roshan and I love Nakua. Nakua is going to be a league winner this year. I'm super excited about what he can do, and honestly, I think he can keep it up even when Cooper Kupp comes back. So fantastic rookie draft there. Looks like you are set up to succeed, man. Yeah, A-Chain. So I just don't think A-Chain's ever going to be a full-time player. I think he's just going to be a role guy. But we don't know yet. Yep. Absolute home run with Nakua. And I think Roshan's going to be the guy for next year too. Panthers at the Seahawks. Seahawks favored to win by 6, 42 implied in this one. Start your Geno Smith as your QB2 in Superflex. He can be your low-end QB1. This is a really good spot for Kenneth Walker. I think he's a top 10 play this weekend. Play DK, play Tyler Lockett, Smith and Jigbo. I'm still probably leaving on my bench, but he can be a flex if you need him to be. Maybe the Seahawks defense, but probably not. I do hope that Zach Charbonnet can get more work this week, but honestly, Charbonnet, Fant, and DJ Dallas, we're leaving these guys on the bench. Now with Bryce Young on the Panthers, he's questionable. I think he missed practice today. Bryce Young is DNP with an ankle, and Miles Sanders limited with a pectoral injury here. So we have to really watch the health of the Panthers side here. It's showing up all Seahawks for me. Honestly, I don't want to start any Panthers. Maybe Sanders as an RB2. I think that makes sense. And then maybe Thielen as a wide receiver 3. That makes a little bit of sense. Otherwise, Chuba Hubbard, man, I might move him up to flex. I like Chuba quite a bit in full PPR leagues. I don't think so. They've come out and already said like multiple times that Jerome Ford is the lead back. I don't like. Keep in mind, like in March, they had the opportunity to bring back Kareem Hunt, and they didn't do it. They're like, no, we like Jerome Ford. So the only way Kareem Hunt is the starter is if I think Jerome Ford were to get hurt. So I don't see him taking 15 to 20 touches. I see him between 5 and 10 touches. So it's probably going to be a mess in this Cleveland backfield. I'm not super excited about it, honestly. Start Stroud or Love this weekend. I don't love either matchup. If I had to choose one, it's probably CJ Stroud. It's probably Stroud this weekend. Bears at the Chiefs. We won't talk about what the hell the Bears got going on, but Chiefs are going to roll here. You're starting Mahomes. You're starting Kelsey. After that, we got to watch the health of Pacheco, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore is looking okay. Start the Chiefs defense. Honestly, Mahomes and Kelsey are really the only guys that I love in this game. But Pacheco, if he plays, he missed practice today, I believe. Let me double check. If Pacheco plays, I think he's in a really good spot. He does have a hamstring injury here, so we'll monitor that. Kadarius Toney's got a toe injury. So monitor this, but outside of Mahomes and Kelsey, we really shouldn't be starting many other players here. Maybe McKinnon if you're desperate, but start the Chiefs defense for sure. The Bears side, I put Justin Fields as a QB2 this weekend. I just do not like the stink of the Chicago Bears right now. You can play DJ Moore, sure. I'd rather sit Herbert and Roschon until we get clarity on what this backfield looks like. It's a mess for the Bears here. Hopefully you guys don't have to rely on these guys. I advise caution on the Bears all summer long here, so hopefully you guys aren't too heavily invested there. Start the Chiefs, man. Don't even look at the Bears, I think, this week. Yeah, we already covered that. Cowboys, Cardinals, another stinker in the afternoon here. Cowboys picked to win by 12, 43.5 implied. You're starting Dak, Tony, Lamb. Awesome. I do think Jake Ferguson, I'd rather play Jake Ferguson over Kyle Pitts right now. That's where we're at. So I think he can be streamed. And it looks like Brandon Cooks was back at practice today. It might be a decent spot for a wide receiver 3 flex start. And then, yeah, you're starting the Cowboys defense, Gallup and Dowdle on the bench. On the Cardinals side, Connor, sure, a volume RB2 play. Zach Ertz, a volume tight end 1 play. And Marquise Brown looks to be decent with Josh Dobbs. I'm not starting the Cardinals defense. Dobbs, McBride, Wilson, Rondale Moore will leave those guys all on the bench. And then we get to Sunday Night Football. Kind of another stinker here. Steelers at the Raiders. Raiders picked to win by 3, 43.5 implied here. You're starting Jacobs and you're starting Adams. After that, like Jimmy G is a super flex QB2. I think Jacoby Myers maybe is a wide receiver 3 flex. He's probably playing this weekend, so I don't hate that. Say no to the Raiders defense. We're going to leave Renfro, Hooper, White, Mayer all on the bench. On the Steelers side of things, yeah, play Pickens, wide receiver 3. You can play Freiermuth if you want. But honestly, we need to advise caution with the Steelers. Now, it's a good matchup for them, going up against the Raiders. So Pickett, maybe a super flex option. Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. I think they are equal the rest of the season. I think they're both RB2 flexes. I'd rather play Jaylen Warren. Start the Steelers defense. It will leave Robinson 2 and Austin 3 on the bench here, and we get to the final Monday night games. Some guy in my Dynasty League wanted my Lamb for my G's. No, I'm holding on to Lamb, dude. I'm holding on to Lamb. Eagles at the Buccaneers. You're playing Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Goddard. I do think DeAndre Swift deserves a low-end RB2 start. Now, the Buccaneers, it's a tough matchup. They are good against the run. It's a tough matchup for Swift, so he's more of a flex play for me. I probably don't want to play Kenneth Gainwell. He's questionable, so we'll see. Maybe the Eagles defense, they have been struggling here. Leave Scott and Watkins on the bench. On the Bucs side, you can maybe start Baker Mayfield in Superflex leagues. You can start Rachaad White as a low-end RB2, but again, not super excited about Rachaad White in this tough matchup. Continue to play Evans and Godwin. Those guys are holding their own. And then Cade Otton is the tight end streamer of the week because the Eagles are the worst team against the tight end. They allow 27.55 points per game to the tight end spot. So good spot for Cade Otton. Sean Tucker and Trey Palmer will keep those guys, in the back of our minds on the bench. It is showing up heavily for the Eagles. And then the final doubleheader of week 3 here on Monday Night Football, Rams at the Bengals. We have questions here. I do think Stafford's a QB2 in Superflex. You're starting Kieran Williams. I have him as a running back 2, but I might be putting him as a running back 1 the rest of the way. You're playing Puka. I don't want any questions on should I start Puka. You're playing Puka Nacua. And then Tutu Atwell honestly looks pretty good too as a wide receiver 3 flex. Maybe the Rams defense if Joe Burrow doesn't play, but Higbee and Van Jefferson, not excited. If Burrow plays, I'm going to play him. If Burrow doesn't play, I'm nervous, though, for the rest of the Bengals. I think Mixon's a low-end RB2. I think Chase and Higgins are still must-starts if Burrow doesn't play. Boyd, probably not a start if Burrow's out, but we'll see. I do think Burrow's going to play, so we'll evaluate that later in the week. It's hard to give advice on this because we don't have any practice reports yet. So we'll wait and hold on our Bengals. Hold out for Joe Burrow. I'll get a better completion for you guys here. He's crazy, especially when Zach Wilson is the QB. Yeah, I just don't like the outlook here. Lamb's a top 5 play right now at the wide receiver position. Like, he looks really good. You're working hard. Go get some dinner. LOL. Thanks for your hard work. And hey, I love you, Charlene. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. I just covered it all. We just did the entire week 3 spread. I will be going live tomorrow night, guys. So for now, and again, it's Wednesday night. We're going to get more practice reports and some information tomorrow. So tomorrow night we'll go live 6:30 p.m. Central Time. We'll get you guys some more information. And hey, I'm going to get out of here for now. I'm going to go get some dinner. Charlene says I have to do it, so I'm going to go do it. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening. If you need more questions answered, hit us up on the Discord. There's a link in the description. We'll see you guys tomorrow evening. Peace.